Okay, sir. Everything is ready, sir. Sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the guest, sir.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Vyasha.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yes.
Very good evening to one and all present here. Before start the program, I will just give the introductory note about the 7th International Day of Yoga. First of all, I convey my wishes to all participants for the 7th International Day of Yoga. Good evening to everyone. I am Dr. S. Saroja, Associate Professor cum Coordinator, Center for Yoga Education, ALAGAPPA University, Karaikudi. It's my immense pleasure and great opportunity for me to host this international event in our university. On behalf of the Center for Yoga Education, we welcome you all to the one-day international webinar on Hatha Yoga practices for well-being. International Yoga Day celebrated every year on 21st June since 2015 to raise awareness worldwide of the benefits of yoga in daily life. Yoga brings balance between body, soul, and mind. It helps to understand the purpose of life and how to survive in the changing environment. Today we are all joining together in virtual mode to celebrate the International Day of Yoga 2021. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the way this day is celebrated had somewhat changed phenomenally. There will not be mass programs and events to commemorate this day in 2021. Year on year, a special theme is announced for the every International Day of Yoga since 2015. Every year, the theme was changed. This year, the theme of the International Day of Yoga 21 is Yoga for Wellbeing. This theme has been conceived to stress on the importance given to COVID-19 patients during the quarantine period. The implication of the theme, Yoga for Well-being, is to promote the awareness regarding how the practice of yoga can help maintain and promote the holistic health of the body and mind. That's all about my introductory note. Before starting the program, uh, start the program with a silent prayer for a minute. Thank you, sir. Now we move on to welcome address. May I invite Dr. C. Segar, Registrar, ALAGAPPA University, to welcome this virtual gathering. Sir, please.
Yeah. Very good evening, one and all. It's my great pleasure to be able to connect myself with you all in this fine evening to celebrate 7th International Yoga being organized by the Center for Yoga Education of ALAGAPPA University on the virtual platform as pointed out by our coordinator, Dr. Sarija. We are connected virtually because of the COVID pandemic. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you all for this great event, and especially the Vice Chancellor Appreciating Committee of our esteemed ALAGAPPA University, Dr. D. Karthikeyan IAS. He is the Principal Secretary, Department of Higher Education, Government of Tamil Nadu, an IAS officer and member of the syndicate and convener of the committee, and the esteemed syndicate members and the committee members of the Appreciating Committee, Dr. R. Swaminathan, Honorable Member of the Syndicate, Principal of a college, Agri College of Arts and Science near Karaikudi, near Karaikudi, and Dr. P.R. Gurumurthy, Senior Professor and Head Department of Commerce, and Honorable Member of the Syndicate, and he is also member of now the Appreciating Committee. And we have our esteemed guest from Sri Lanka, Mr. Vyasha Kalyana Sundaram, a great yoga therapist and consultant here this fine evening. And our coordinator, Dr. Saroja, Dhanraj, and all our esteemed participants. Once again, I welcome you all for this international event. This is the seventh International Yoga Day celebrations, which was started in the year 2014 with the great initiation by our Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Modi ji. Started very well in 2014 and continued to be one of the mega events worldwide because of the importance of yoga. And it is being now, there are millions and millions of people around the world who are interested, who show interest, who want to know about or following, practicing yoga in different forms. So yoga, the theme every year, a theme is assigned. This year's theme for the International Yoga Day is yoga for wellness. So wellness is, it's not only the wellness of the body; it also involves mind and also spirit. And wellness can be achieved by connecting all these important parts the body, mind, and soul. And Sri Ravi Shankar ji says we all want happiness, and yoga is the for, way for that much needed happiness in life. This means happiness can be achieved, and happiness can be realized. A good health can be realized. A stress can be relieved, and many chronic diseases and pain also can be alleviated by practicing yoga. There are many good things about yoga, and that is the reason why it got attracted worldwide. Very intensely, it is being followed. Now there is a question: what is the proof, and how does this yoga gives happiness, whether it is the health in body or mind? How does it work? And is there any scientific proof to show or demonstrate that yes, indeed, if you practice yoga, your health becomes better, and your mind is very happy, and your soul is very comfortable, and all this. Is there any scientific evidence for this? And this is one of the important questions that we are pursuing or we are planning to pursue in Alagappa University, because we have sensors. We are developing variety of sensors in the form of electrochemical biosensors, with which will be able to measure very small amount of chemicals, especially the happy chemicals, that is responsible for happiness. Whether you get happiness from the materials or from the social linkages or from any form, by doing yoga or by doing meditation, you feel comfortable, you feel happy, you feel joyful, and it should be possible to measure the happiness level by measuring the chemicals, the so-called happy chemicals like dopamine, endorphin, oxytocin, serotonin, etc. And in Alagappa University, we have developed sensors for measurement of these fine chemicals, very small quantity of chemicals of the order of microgram, which is secreted in particular part of the brain, and then it takes care of it, goes to different parts of the body and does the job, and there ends. So by measuring these chemicals, the changes in this chemical level, we must be able to measure the happiness level or well-being level of any individual. So this is one of the projects that we are planning to pursue. Having developed sensors, we wanted to develop, want to do a systematic study among those people who follow, who practice yoga, and come out with a scientific proof, a scientific validation showing that yes, the Indian tradition, the Indian practice yoga is good for health. It can be scientifically proved, and that is one of the activities that we are planning to pursue in the future. And anybody who is interested in this project are welcome to be a part. We welcome to contact us. So yoga has many advantages, and we are all here to celebrate this particular day, and in that way create awareness to make people realize the importance of practicing yoga. And once again, I welcome you all for this very important, very useful, very purposeful event, national event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your warm welcome address. Next, we move on to Yoga Day address. May I request Dr. R. Swaminathan, Syndicate Member VC Officiating Committee, and Principal Vidyagiri College of Arts and Science, Puduvayal, to deliver the yoga address. Sir, please.
Yes, well, respected Professor Dr. T.R. Gurumurthy, member of the syndicate, member VC Officiating Committee, most respected Registrar, Professor Dr. Shegar, the chief guest of the evening, Shri Vyasa Kalyana Sundaram, chief yoga therapist from Sri Lanka, Dr. Saroja, coordinator for the Center for Yoga Education, Dr. Dhanaraj, assistant professor, Center for Yoga Education, faculty members, research scholars, students, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure, privilege, and honor to be with you this evening. And I want to sincerely thank all of you for joining us today's session on yoga on the occasion of the 7th International Day of Yoga organized by the Center for Yoga Education at ALAGAPPA University to discuss a little bit of yoga and churn the subject of yoga. As we all know that United Nations has declared the International Day of Yoga. That means those of you who are living in the yoga center or associated with the yoga center means this is your day for celebration. Never before in the history of United Nations, 177 countries get together to pass such a resolution, have voted for anything except this International Day of Yoga. They have never congregated like this to vote for International Yoga Day. So this is really remarkable. This is done to make a scientific approach to the inner well-being, as rightly pointed out by the coordinator, inner well-being of the human being, a worldwide thing. This is want to be well, you don't want to have to seek heaven's help. You can turn inward and fix it. You can turn inward and create well-being. You don't want to look up, or you don't want to look down, or you don't want to seek celestial help. The human well-being or quality of human well-being essentially is originated from within. If you want to fix it, or if you want to mess it up also, both can be done only within you. It is the message when you say International Yoga Day, human well-being is not in heaven, it is well within us. It is a tremendous step for the world. This is a historic event, and it is wonderful that it is timed at a time, or the beginning of Dakshinayana. That is on 21st June. In January we have Uttarayana, and June we have Dakshinayana. So this is the longest. June 21st we have the longest daytime and lesser night time. It indicates the shifting of the relationship between the sun and the planet from the north to south. This knowledge, or this whole sphere of understanding, the mechanics of human being, in relation to the mechanics of the cosmos, and how one can transcend. How this referring to oneself can either be tiny little creature, or how this can become a cosmic being. This possibility he opened on this day, and it is really wonderful that day is being recognized as International Yoga Day. So plans, big plans means, lot of work. So let us not talk about work today, but it will come. Work will always come. Lots of work. Actually, I was thinking 2021, I am going to sit back and start practicing retirement a little bit, but no, 2021 is going to be full throttle for me. So you should not try to tire or retire in the coming years. No tiring, no retiring, full throttle. So even in your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, your compulsions as to what you like, what you don't like, whom you love, whom you don't love. This is all by memory, isn't it? It is. It is already past. Yesterday, you loved somebody. With that memory, you are living today. Yesterday, you disliked somebody. With that memory, you are living today. So, you are trying to live that which is over. If you try to live that which is over, that which it will bypass you. So, yoga means to liberate yourself from that information which determines who I am right now. Yoga means to liberate that information which determines the color of my skin. Yoga means to liberate yourself that information which determines the shape of our body. That information should not determine how I think, how I feel, how I experience my life, but unfortunately, it is. So, if you become like this, that information does not determine how you are right now, then you are moving into yoga. So, working daily morning sadhana is just this, to slowly, gradually, to create that distance from information. You don't have to lose it. People say, I want to forget. If you forget, you will once again do the same things all over again. Never, never, ever forget. The most unpleasant your life has been, the more you should never forget. If you forget, you will do the same things all again and again. This is not about forgetfulness, but being able to carry. See, suppose today you have memory sticks. If it is all the time plugged in and all of it playing, you will go crazy of it. You can carry it in your packet. No problem. When you want, you can stick it into your computer. Otherwise, put it in your packet. This is good. No problem. Memory is still there, but not compulsorily working through you. When you want, consciously you can activate it. Otherwise, it lies there. So, if this becomes like this, if you want, you can activate all of it. Otherwise, you can keep it aside. Then, once that freedom comes, memory is not a problem. But right now, memory is a problem because it is playing up all the time. Yesterday's love, yesterday's dislike, everything is determined who you are today. It will not allow you to experience what is today. It will not allow you any possibility of life. It will just keep on your a broken record, just going on the same things repeatedly. I dislike this person. Only yesterday you disliked him. Today it is not necessary to dislike him. Yesterday he was doing something, we disliked him. There is no need to dislike him today. But the memory is playing up and saying, I dislike him, I dislike him. Whether you like him or dislike him, both ways, it is an old playing record. Unless you it is only a repetition, I can say. So you have that perception, and in the larger and larger doses, there is really no experience of life. Just mind playing over and over the same record. So yoga means breaking this cycle. This is what is really yoga is. Breaking this cycle, and nature will not release you from that. Nature will always bring that again and again to your memory, just like that. It needs a certain amount of work. If you want to be just like that released, then you have to release yourself from the body itself, staying in a different state. So this is it is the foundation of informations that we carry, which has constructed this body, the way it has to live in it and not to be of it. So I am not saying it is difficult, but it needs to be worked. That sadhana is just about this. However simple the sadhana is, every day it is worked it slowly. One can see a certain level of freedom happening within you, step by step, inch by inch. Even it may be micromillimeter by micromillimeter, but nobody can say that it is not releasing you. It will slowly release you. If you want to go rapidly, a lot more you have to work. You don't mind going slowly, something to do. So we have to start that sadhana, that practice intensively. Actually, my memory lane goes back. A few years back, I was visiting one of my friends in Singapore. While after my journey, while returning back, my friends dropped me in the airport. I checked in and settled down and waited for my flight. The airline company made an announcement that the flight was delayed by 4 hours. I pulled up my fancy smartphone wanting to make a call. In fact, my smart phone had the smartest apps. One of the apps that I had in my phone was my prayer beats chanting mantra. With all the fancy apps, I had a problem. I had no reception, no connectivity, no network coverage. I could not make a call, but right across I can see an European lady, and she had a Nokia phone. Even pressing the button, I have to be a bodybuilder for pressing that button. Such a oldest phone she had, and she was speaking about 45 minutes. I talked to myself, apps are definitely great. We have good apps, or definitely great, but connectivity is crucial and important. Ladies and gentlemen, in our life, our possessions, our homes, our cars, our electronic items, wealth, achievements, affluence, our success, our failures, our influence are just like apps in the smart mobile phone. They are important. What is crucial and very important is our connection. connectivity. Therefore, it is necessary that we connect in our lives. We connect to God through prayer, meditation, worship, chanting, etc., etc. It is important that we connect to ourselves through self-reflection, contemplation, and introspection. We are questioning ourselves. It is also important that we connect to the world, to the people of the world, through affection, contribution, and services. Therefore, I say, look up, be grateful. Look in, be blissful. Blissful means ananda. Look out, be useful. When we harmonize these three, namely connection to God, connection to ourselves, and connection to the world, that harmony is called yoga. This is the very essence of yoga. Let us all be yogis and make deep connect in ourselves and achieve fulfillment, satisfaction, contentment, and lead a wholesome, meaningful life. I thought I can share with you with the 4 aspects of yoga. Yoga meant for physical agility and fitness. Yes, it gives us that aspect through asanas, and you must do it because maintaining the car is needed to drive to our destination. We are maintaining our car, is it not, to reach the destination? This is the car. This body is the car. We have to maintain it to reach the destination. Secondly, yoga contributes to us the process of mental stability. It gives us the process of rhythmic reading, pranayama, which can soothe and stabilize our disturbed mind. What a great care yoga is. Thirdly, it gives us the path to the contribution of spirituality. Connectivity through meditation, chanting, so that we can truly, in a long-term way, deal with the challenges and our difficulties which we go through internally. Remember the line, pain is inevitable. Everyone has got pain. We cannot escape from that. Sufferings is optional. How it is optional? With that connectivity, which I have referred so far, connectivity, I have been stressing the word connectivity. Sufferings will become optional to us. With that connectivity, sufferings will challenge us. Without connectivity, sufferings will challenge us and it will disturb us to the core. Last but not the least, it contributes to us a sense of social responsibility. When we turn by being the best yogis, and the best yogis is someone who is upayogi, useful to bring light and hope. Sacred teachings of sacred literatures to the lives of the people in a way that they can relay themselves with a great fortitude, strength, character, integrity, and the path of life. Thus, we can put the 4 dimensions of yoga together. It is called holistic yoga, a summary of all the 4, dealing with your body with physical exercise, dealing with your mind with pranayama, dealing with your very soul in your heart through spiritual connection, dealing with your responsibility and purpose by trying to serve. It is so amazing We all go through what we go through in our lives. It is little confusion. We all go through what we go through in our lives. And the situation, the circumstances, the surroundings that we are very often influence our mindset, emotional being, what is happening around us today. We did not get what we want. We are aspiring for so many things, we are not getting what we want. Disappointment comes to us, our dreams are shattered, expectations are not fulfilled, hopes are backward, mind is disturbed, state of our mental health is not well. This is a part of our life. If everything goes the way we want, it will not be life. No one can experience that on this earth. I don't think so. No one has experienced everything cakewalk for them. You have immense worth. Numbers don't decide your worth. One day, numbers are going up and numbers are going down. One day, opportunity you may get, one day you may not get. What decides your worth is your sincere and genuine effort. Are you better than what you were yesterday? Yoga is that only. If you are better than yesterday, you are getting from yoga. Yoga is a set of principles. Yoga is a philosophy. Yoga is a wisdom. Yoga is your mother, pita, friend, trustworthy. Yoga will boost our wisdom, boost our spirit, uplift our morality. Yoga will inspire on, continue on our mental health. It is an absolute necessity that we remain in sync with yoga, because otherwise there are going to be situations which are going to disturb us, depress us every day. Depression is our inability to handle what is happening. And we are all depressed one way or other. How many of you feel low in your life? Every day is different. Today we feel better, on another day we are not better. Just 1 hour back we feel very good, and just another 1 hour our mindset is disturbed. Depression has become a normalcy in our life. To feel low is normal nowadays. The dimension of yoga is a set of principles. Seek wisdom which comes from books or through motivational speeches or from any source. Anyway, seek wisdom. Wisdom can help us to recalibrate our life back again. It is suddenly get distracted by low feelings, failures, heartbreaking, shattering dreams. Wisdom, guidance, principle will bring us back again. So you should always keep this in our mind. We have to keep bringing our mind back on the track. So yoga is the set of principles of wisdom, philosophy of wisdom, and keep updating your wisdom quotient. You can say wisdom quotient, WQ. Wisdom will keep you in the process of your life. Every moment, life is going to change. Sometimes it is shady, sometimes it is going to be sunny, sometimes troubles time. Of all things in the world, of all things that human being can do, everything that human being can do is essentially an expression of who they are. Somebody sings a song, somebody dances, somebody writes a book, somebody paints a picture. Whatever else we can do is an expression of who you are. You may be conscious of it or you may be unconscious of it, but still everything you say, everything you do, everything that comes out of you is essential, an expression of who you are. So yoga in that way is diametrically opposite to this, because it is not an expression who you are. It is about determining as to who you are. It is about determining as to what you want to be. So changing the very fundamental of one's existence. Today there is a substantial medical, as Professor Segar sir asked, today there is a substantial medical and scientific evidence to show that the very fundamentals of the activities of your brain, your chemistry, even your genetic content can be changed by practicing different systems of yoga. So yoga as a system needs much more involvement than any other things that one or any other forms of things that we do, which are merely an expression of who we are. If we find full expression through the particular activity, it may also leave you somewhat transformed. We have with us our guest speaker, Sri Vyasa Kalyana Sundaram ji, who will speak more about Hatha Yoga practices. Hatha Yoga practices means the tenacity to reshape the body in a way to re-engineer the whole system in a very phenomenal way that takes a certain level of tenacity. So he will be talking more about that. I don't want to take more time. I appreciate the Center of Yoga Education of ALAGAPPA University, who are taking all things forward, and particularly the our organization secretary, Dr. S. Saroja, the joint secretary of this webinar, Dr. S. Dhanaraj, and other faculty members, students. Good luck and good success in all your endeavors, and I pray Almighty to shower His abundant blessings on each one of you to come out successfully. Thank you, one and all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Today your yoga day address is very much appreciated and awesome, sir. The way in which you mentioned the origin of yoga and the reason behind it is a very excellent fact. And also you mentioned the relation between yoga, mind, memory, and the four aspects of yoga. Like our life is based on the four aspects of yoga and the principles of yoga, and also dimensions of yoga. As academician, I have broad knowledge about it, sir. You have, thank you for your words of appreciation, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So next, now I invite Dr. T.R. Gurumurthy, sir, to be member BC Appreciating Committee, and Senior Professor, Head Department of Commerce, to offer a felicitation address. Sir, please.
Very good evening. The most respected member of syndicate and member of Vice Chancellor Convener Officiating Committee, Dr. Swaminathan ji. Respected Registrar, respected guest of this program, Vyasa Kalyana Sundaram, organizers of this great event. I take this opportunity to congratulate Madam Saroja and Professor Dhanaraj. They have taken strenuous efforts to organize this International Yoga Day. I congratulate the administrators of the university. I congratulate the registrar who has taken strenuous efforts and encouraging the two accelerators, Dr. Saroja and Dr. Dhanraj, to conduct this great event. I thank the organizers. They have taken innovative steps to organize this event, and they have identified the right person, right resource person who is familiar to ALAGAPPA University, Sri Vyas Kalyan Sundaram, to speak on Hatha Yoga. He is familiar with the students of ALAGAPPA University College of Physical Education. He conducted so many programs to students, and he demonstrated various types of yogic practices to the students. I saw Sri Vyas Kalyan Sundaram in our ALAGAPPA University campus early morning, 1 year back. Sir, thank you, sir, for all your support you have provided to our students. And through you, our students learned a lot about yoga, especially Hatha Yoga. So your demonstration remains in my memory. That is in the basketball ground. You taught all the students about theory and practices of yoga for a week to all the students. The student enjoyed that moment. I also enjoyed that moment on that day. Thank you, Sri Vyas Kalyan Sundaram.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So yoga is a way of life. Yoga teaches the principles of life. Yoga helps us to learn ourselves. Yoga integrates mind and body. Yoga creates harmony between mind and body. So the objective is there: well-being, wellness, yoga for wellness. So wellness of mind, wellness of body, both are essentially needed for our day-to-day life. The integration of mind and body is essentially needed. So we have to come across physical health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and above all, the social health we have to come across. This system is essentially needed to live in the society. Yoga teaches, yoga helps us to learn what is physical health, what is mental health, what is emotional health, social health, and spiritual health. The 5 species, the 5 parts of life we learn through yoga, the 5 parts of life combined together is known as wellness. So wellness is ensured in all 5 parts of our life through yoga. So we speak the word yogi. The person ensures perfection in all walks of life is yogi. Oh, we learn perfectly Hatha Yoga, Hatha Yoga, and chakras. We ensure perfection in all walks of life. Perfection is essentially needed. So as administrators, we need perfection in all administrative activities. As a teacher, we need perfection in all teaching, learning, demonstration related events. As a human being in day-to-day life, we require perfection. We should ensure perfection. So an individual can ensure perfection through yogic practices. So that perfection is known as wellness. Day-to-day affairs, we have to ensure wellness. Wellness is needed for the success of all events we put forth. So the coordinators of this yoga program, the chief guest of yoga program, they are so well the wellness is there mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, so that they do this program so successfully. Congratulate the Dhanraj and Saroja madam, because they practice yoga, they teach yoga, so they ensure perfection in carry out this event perfectly to the wellness of masses, particularly the students community. I am so happy to see the participants list. Throughout the world, the participants are attending this program. I am so happy as a member of Syndicate. I congratulate the organizers of this great event, Dhanraj and Saroj. So the art of maintaining good health we have to learn. The art of maintaining good health helps us to ensure longevity in our life. உடம்பை வளர்க்கும் உபாயம் அறிந்தேன், உடம்பை வளர்த்தேன், உயிர் வளர்த்தேன். So to ensure longevity in our life, we have to learn the art of maintaining good health. So that is called the wealth. So this is basically possible through the yogic practices. So yoga helps us to learn ourselves. தன்னை அறியாமல் தன்னை கெடுகிறான். தன்னை அறிபவருக்கு உலகத்தில் அனைத்து சிறப்புகளும் உண்டு. When we learn about ourselves, we learn what is needed to us. The yogi will design his life based on needs. The yogi won't design his life based on wants or desire. So this is a basic lesson we learn through the yogic practices, through this yoga. So many advantages, so many merits they have explained well, but basically what is needed, an individual can learn about himself or herself only through this type of yogic practices. So yoga teaches the basic disciplined principles of life. Iyama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyagara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. These are all the essential steps, essential processes we have to follow in our day-to-day life. We have to live in a better way. At the same time, we have to allow others to live in a better way. So, Iyama principle and Niyama principle. So, the two principles are basically needed for the wellness of human being. So, what are the good virtues we have to follow? What are the good virtues we have to learn and give away such a type of virtues? What are the benefits of these virtues? What are the ill effects of these virtues? These things are possible through the yogic classes and yogic practices. So, Iyama and Niyama, the two principles we have to teach to the young minds, particularly we have to teach to the school students. It is a basic principles of life related to human being. All the human beings should follow such a type of principle, then only the society will live happily, the wellness can be ensued. Iyama, Niyama and Asana, that is well, that is your health is maintained. I told you, when you learn the art of maintaining a good health, you learn the art of increasing your longevity. So, தன்னை அறிய தனக்கு ஒரு கேடு இல்லை. This thing is possible through this, the asana. Then pranayama, the principles, you know well, many now Hatha yoga, he will explain well the pranayama. Then another, the pritya ahara, priti plus ahara. So food is there, it is the aharam, we know well, food is the aharam for the body. But others, what is their air? You can convert the air as food through pratyahara. The principle we have to learn. Dharana principle we have to learn. Dhyana principle we have to learn. There is a difference, dhyana and pranayama. So dhyana principle, samadhi, sama plus adi. So we become equal to Adi. So these things we have to teach to young minds. The young minds will learn about the yogic practices. A beautiful world we can build. So this is the objective, yoga for well-being. Then through yoga, we have to teach it to the young mind there. What is there? There, the important power centers of the body. The energy centers of the body. We have to teach to the students. The students should learn the energy centers of their body. They keep their energy center so safe. They keep the energy center energetic. So their life will be better. The longevity will increase. They learn about nuances of basic yogic practices. So this is essentially needed. So the basic chakras also, at least they have to learn the words. What is there? The Mooladhara. What is the Mooladhara? What is the energy? What is the energy center? What is the purpose? What is its function? So Mooladhara is the base for the body. Then Swadhisthana, what is this? The Manipuraha, what is this? Nadaha, what is this? Visuddhi, what is this? Agni, what is this? Sahasraraham, what is this? So there, these chakras, the functioning of these chakras, energy centers of these chakras, the process of activating these chakras, the yoga will teach to you. The Ashtanga yoga will teach you. The basic, what is there in dhyana, the basic, that is, you forget yourself. This is the basic principle of life. We forget yourself. You keep your mind empty. You keep your mind pure. You keep your mind selflessness. Then God will stay with you. God will live with you. So this is basically required. When you come forward to work for others 100%, when you are ready to devote your energy and time and efficiency for the welfare of others, there the wellness is ensured. This is the basic purpose of yoga. This basic lesson the young mind should learn through the yoga. That is the objective. So yoga is the gift to the rest of the world. It is a gift to the rest of the world. It is a gift of India. It is a gift of our motherland to the rest of the world. So rest of the world, they practice. We have to practice more than the rest of the world. We should provide the treasure of yoga to the young minds, to the young students. So they learn about their body. They learn about their emotion. They learn about their health. Health is improved, longevity will improve. கொடுக்கற்றிலேன் ஒன்பொருள் தன்னை விடுக்கற்றிலேன் குற்றமும் செற்றமும். So this basic thing. So I am not in a position to provide a novel thing to the society. கொடுக்கற்றிலேன் ஒன்பொருள் தன்னை விடுக்கற்றிலேன். So their setrum are there, the enmity. I live with enmity. So I have to give away this. How is it possible? Then all the small mistake I do daily, I have to give it away. That is, give up. What is the process? Then kutram, setram, it is not possible to me. All five senses, the senses are not living with me. The senses control me. There the yoga will help you. There you learn the nuances, you learn the purpose, you learn the benefits of five senses. Adakku என்பார் அறிவிலர். அடக்கும் உபாயத்தோடு அறியும் உபாயத்தை அறிபவன் மேலானவன். So you learn the five senses. You learn the benefits of five senses. You learn the power of five senses. You utilize the power. Use your yogic practices. All five senses will be in your hand. Madai marum, they will go out. The ill effects will go out. So all five senses will live with you, will function under your control. There, the basic yogic is there. There are so many benefits. Our experts have explained all the benefits. You practice and learn practically the benefit. This is the basically required. Then another important thing I would like to share there, the body is there. I have already explained in another forum. The body is there. The body, the Annamaya Kosam. So Annamaya Kosam you require. So Annamaya Kosam, what is the prescribed level? Then Pranamaya Kosam, what is the prescribed level? Manomaya Kosam, what is the prescribed level? Vinyanmaya Kosam, what is the prescribed level? Then Anandamaya Kosam, what is the prescribed level? So there, the Anandamaya Kosam is the objective of yoga. That is yoga for wellness. Wellness, Anandamayam. So for the Annamayam, Pranamayam, Manomayam, Vinyanmayam, and Anandamayam. So we have to reach that Anandamayam. So to reach the Anandamayam in life, wellness in life, the yoga is the root. So, when the young minds, they learn what is yoga. Yoga, some physical postures, some practicing some asana. It is not the yoga. Yoga, a great ocean is there. Just it's performing some asanas, it is only for 1 or 2% of the ocean of yoga. It is the way of life. It teaches the principles of life. It teaches the processes we follow in our life. So yogi will follow the needs. He won't follow the desires and want. Today's society is a want-based society. It is not a need-based society. Need-based society is essentially needed for wellness. So yoga is essentially needed for wellness. We have to teach this principle to the young minds. Ensure perfection to the young minds. So further elaborate details are there. There our resource person will explain to you, will discuss with you a lot about Hatha Yoga, and he is the expert in Ashtanga Yoga. He will teach you and he will explain to you the nuances of yoga. So basically, the yoga teaches what is justice. Yoga teaches the truthfulness. Yoga teaches the purity. Purity means 100%. The niyama principle, 100%. Yoga teaches. So there, what are the principles? An individual, a small boy, a school boy, what are the principles he has to ensure in day-to-day learning? The yoga teaches. It is not just physical exercises. It is not just physical exercises. So Tiruvasakam, we read, Andinal Adiyen Aviyudu Akai Anandamai Kasinduruga. This is the purpose of yoga, wellness. Aviyum Akayum Anandamaha irukka vendum. Integration of body and mind. Avi Akai. Akai is body. Avi mind. Aviyum Akayum Anbinal Adiyen Anandamai Kasinduruga vendum. We teach the love to the society. This comes under your yogic principle, that is niyama principle. Now, niyama principle we follow. This akai, this avi, both will integrate. The harmony will be generated. So I conclude with the Tiruvasakam, Anbinal, Adiyen, Aviyudu, Akai, Anandamai, Kasinduruga, Enbaram Malla Innerul Tandai, Yan Idarku Ilan or Kaimaru. So I can't reciprocate the practices you provide through yoga. I salute the organizers of this great event, the International Yoga Day we have celebrated today with the great experts in yoga. I congratulate the organizers. I thank Dr. Swaminathan, who presided over the function and delivered a very thought-provoking address on yogic practices. And I'm waiting to listen via Sanvaga Sundaram on Hatha Yoga. And I thank the registrar who initiated the proceeding. Thank you, one and all. Thank you. for this opportunity given to me. Thank you. Jai Hind. Jai Hind.
Sir, in your felicitation address, you mentioned brief note on body and mind, how it relate body and mind. Very nice, sir. And also you mentioned 5 parts of yoga, and you brief about Ashtanga yoga, yama, niyama, up to samadhi and chakras. And also you relate kosha, the Anandamaya kosha is related to Gandhari. So your documentation is very much appreciated and very nice, sir. Thank you very much for your presentation address. Next, we move on to introducing the guest. At this juncture, I may invite Dr. S. Dhanaraj, Assistant Professor, Surgical Yoga Education, to introduce the guest speaker, Shri Asha Kalyansundaram.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Swaminathan sir, member, upsetting, myself upsetting of the members. Dr. B.R. Gurmurthy sir, member, myself upsetting of the members. And Dr. C. Segar sir, registered for giving this wonderful opportunity on this fine occasion. It's my immense pleasure to have Sri Vyasa Kalyansundaram, yoga consultant, yogic therapist, and the head of academic department in the Institute of Human Excellence, which is offering yoga therapist and the yoga instructor course in the Sri Lanka. Kalyansundaram sir is a chief yoga therapist, Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, which is run by High Commission of India, Sri Lanka. Sir is a yoga consultant in Maharagama Cancer Center, Government of Medical College, Sri Lanka. Sir is a yoga instructor, Ashtanga Yoga Mandir. Sir is also personal yoga instructor and consultant to the former President of Sri Lanka, Maitri Sirisena. Sir is the secretary, Asian Yoga Therapist Association in Singapore, trustee, Sivananda Abonam, Sri Lanka, and country representative, yes, Vyasa Yoga University, Bangalore, India. Sir is visited many countries like India, China, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, for attending the international conference as a chairperson, guest of honor, and a research person. Sir also visited our university as a chief guest and a research person in the international conference on the topic of body and mind, and 1 week workshop. Such an experienced person in the field of yogic life is going to deliver the research person guest education address on the topic of Hatha yoga practices and well-being. I welcome sir to share your valuable guidance to the participants. Now the session is hand over to the research person for further proceedings. Thanks, sir.
அனைவருக்கும் அன்பார்ந்த வணக்கங்கள். இந்தியாவிலே காரைக்குடியிலே இருக்கக்கூடிய அழகப்பா பல்கலைக்கழகத்தினுடைய பதிவாளர் திரு டி.சி. சேகர் அவர்களுக்கும் ஒரு மிகவும் சிறப்பான முறையிலே யோகாவை ஒரு தற்காலத்து வாழ்க்கைக்கான ஒரு பரிணாமமாக உள்ளத்திலே இருக்கக்கூடிய கிடைக்கைகளுக்கும் மன அழுத்தங்களுக்கும் எண்ணங்களுக்கும் எவ்வாறு ஒரு மனதிலே இருக்கக்கூடிய எண்ணங்கள் மறக்காமல் அவை எவ்வாறு ஒரு உறுதுணையாக இருக்க வேண்டும் என்று ஒரு மிகவும் சிறப்பாக உரையாற்றி சென்ற மதிப்புக்குரிய டாக்டர் ஆர் சுவாமிநாதன் அவர்களுக்கும், அதே போல இந்த யோகத்தினுடைய உள்ளக கிடக்கைகள், யோகத்தினுடைய சைவத்தின் அல்லது சிவத்தினுடைய ஒரு பரிணாமம் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய ஒவ்வொரு வகைகளுக்கும் ஆன்மீகத்துக்கும் உலகளாவிய ரீதியிலே இன்று நாங்கள் கொண்டாடி கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய இந்த உலக யோக தினத்தினுடைய அடிப்படை கருத்துகளையும் ஒன்றாக அழகாக இணைத்து உரையாற்றி சென்ற மதிப்புக்கும் மரியாதைக்கும் உரிய குருமூர்த்தி அவர்களுக்கும் மற்றும் தனராஜ் அவர்களுக்கும் மற்றும் இந்த நிகழ்வை மிகவும் சிறப்பாக ஒழுங்கு செய்து கொண்டிருக்கின்ற சரோஜா அம்மையார் அவர்களுக்கும் என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகளை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். அத்துடன் இந்த நிகழ்வை இன்று பார்த்து கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய பல்கலைக்கழகத்தைச் சேர்ந்த விரிவுரையாளர்கள், மாணவர்கள் மற்றும் அங்கு இருக்கக்கூடிய ஏனையவர்கள் மற்றும் இந்த வெபினார் மூலமாக இணைந்திருக்கக்கூடிய உங்கள் அனைவரையுமே நான் மனமுவர்ந்து என்னுடைய வணக்கங்களை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். It's a great pleasure for me to be here with all of you at this the most wonderful day of the year. As the respected speakers have been addressing, as Mr. Swaminathan ji was telling, today is considered as the longest day and the most auspicious day. மங்களகரமான ஒரு நாள் என்று. இந்த மங்களகரமான நாளிலே உங்களோடு இணைவதிலே நான் மிகவும் பெருமகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். When we are going to discuss about the principles of the Hatha Yoga practices and well-being, I just would like to tell that I will be talking in the both languages because I have friends of the both languages. So I thought I will just mix some Tamil and some English in my address. And so when we are talking about yoga, one of the most important thing which we need to understand is the word yoga. Is it just a word? Why is that this so-called yoga has a power? And why are we celebrating it? If you take any product, the more it's old, the more the value is. ஒரு வைடூரியத்தை நீங்கள் எடுத்தீர்கள் என்றால் ஒரு 300 வருட காலம் உள்ள ஒரு வைடூரியத்துக்கு ஒரு தனிப்பெருமதி இருக்கும். ஒரு 500 வருட காலம் உள்ள வைடூரியத்துக்கு ஒரு தனிப்பெருமதி இருக்கும். ஒரு மரகதத்தை எடுங்கள், இல்லாவிடில் ஒரு மரத்தை எடுங்கள், எந்த அளவுக்கு அதனுடைய காலப்பரிணாமம் கூடிக்கொண்டே போகிறதோ அந்த அளவுக்கு அதனுடைய பெருமதி அதிகரித்துக் கொண்டே போகும். The more the time there is, the more the value it gets. So today we are celebrating the Hatha Yoga, the International Day of Yoga. So it is very important for us to know what is the lineage who has been contributing. It is so important that we need to recognize and remember the lineages of the Hatha Yoga. So when we come to the word of yoga, yoga is not a simple word. Basically, according to the Yoga Shastras, as all of you know here, respected learned people, the yoga, the word combines of 4 bija aksharas. It is not a letters. So when the 4 bija aksharas comes together, 4 bija aksharangal ஒன்றாக சேருகின்ற பொழுது சப்தம் உருவாகும். இந்த சப்தம் உருவாகின்ற பொழுது அந்த சப்தம் ஒரு வரி வடிவத்தை எடுக்கும். When the sounds comes together, when the bija aksharam sounds comes together, it produces a sound resonance, and that sound resonance will produce a form, and that form has a shape. Based on that principle only, when these 4 bija aksharas, through the power of the sound, when those 4 aksharas merge, it produced a sound, and that sound is called as yogaha. But because of the colloquial reason, we call it as the word yoga. So the bija sounds are yang, ang, and aha. When these 4 words combines together, it gives the sound. So when we are talking about yoga, it is not just a word. That principle of that has lots of meanings. For example, each bijas, for example, you take the word of yam. Yam denotes the prana. Pranavai குறிக்கிறது yam என்ற எழுத்து. So here what happens, the whole Hatha Yoga culture involves with the principle of prana. So we use the prana as the primary source. பிராணாவை முதலீடாக கொண்டு பிராணனை முதன்மைப்படுத்தி பிராணனை அடிப்படையாக கொண்டு செய்யும் ஒரு கலையாக இந்த ஹத யோக கலை காணப்படுகிறது. When we try to understand the meanings of yoga, it can be well understood. Our eminent resource speakers today gave a very nice brief background of the different types of yoga. As all of you know, there is a very famous thesaurus in Sanskrit which is called as the Amarakosham, where in the Amarakosham, the author, the Amara Simha, was a great king of Kashmir, where when he gave the explanation for yoga, he gave it into 12 explanation. In the 12 explanation, something which comes as the Sannatha, Upaya, Sankati, Yukteshu, Samskara, and Dhyana. Like that is the explanation goes on. So when it comes as Sankati, because it is very important as yoga students, yoga practitioners, when we do each of the yoga practices, on what category these yoga names are derived. For example, I'll just explain the one word of Sankati. Sankati means Sankamam, when all the things comes together. For today, as ALAGAPPA University faculty, students, friends, members, well-wishers, we have all come together. So it's a Sangamam for this beautiful day. So here what happens under the Sangamam and the component of Sangati, what happens is when the body and the breath combine, Sangamikindra பொழுது, it is called as yoga. When the body, when the prana, when the mind combines, it is called as yoga. In the higher level stage, when your body, when your prana, your mind and your soul, when it combines, it's called as yoga. When at one point of time, when the Jivatma and the Paramatma joins together, then also it is called as yoga. At the same time, yoga also denotes one of the most important aspects like upayam. Upayam means from one place to a one situation, it leads into another situation. For example, you take a vehicle takes you from one location to the another location. Take your feet takes you from one location to another location. Take your mind from one place, it moves to another place. Same way, here what happens, the practice of yoga moves you from one place to another place in a progressive manner. ஒரு இறுக்கமான மனநிலையிலிருந்து ஒரு தளர்வான மனநிலையை நோக்கி செல்வதற்கான ஒரு உத்தியாக யோகா காணப்படுகிறது. ஒருவர் துக்கத்திலே இருக்கிற பொழுது துக்கத்திலிருந்து இன்பத்தை நோக்கி நகர்கின்ற ஒரு உபாயமாக காணப்படுகிறது. அது போல ஆன்மீகத்தை எடுக்கிற பொழுது ஆணவத்தில் இருந்து மோட்சம் அல்லது கைவல்யம் அல்லது நிர்வாணம் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய பல நிலைகளுக்கு தன்னை இட்டுச் செல்லக்கூடியதாக இருக்கிறது. இன்று எங்களுடைய தலைப்பை நீங்கள் எடுத்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஹதயோகா பிராக்டிசஸ் ஃபார் வெல்பீயிங் என்று சொல்லப்படுகிறது. வெல்பீயிங் என்றால் முற்று முழுதான ஒரு சுகதேகம் என்று அர்த்தம். இது யோகாவினுடைய இன்னொரு அர்த்தமாக வருகிறது. சன்னானம் என்றால் பாதுகாத்தல். ஒரு கவச்சமாக இந்த யோகா காணப்படுகிறது. எவ்வாறு காணப்படுகிறது என்றால், யோகாவை ஒருவர் பயிலுகின்ற பொழுது, when a person starts practicing the yoga in a very systematic way, especially I'm just focusing on the Hatha yoga practices, he is protected from the disease. He is protected from the accelerated process of the aging. He is protected from becoming sorrowful. He becomes protected from sickness. So, சன்னானம் என்பது யோகாவை பயிலுகின்ற பொழுது நோயிலிருந்து உங்களை பாதுகாக்கிறது, விரைவான ஒரு வயோதிபத்திலிருந்து உங்களை தடுக்கிறது, துக்கம் மனிதனை ஆட்டிப்படைக்கின்ற பொழுது அதிலிருந்து உங்களை பாதுகாக்கிறது, நோய் அணுகாமல் இருக்கின்ற பொழுதும் உங்களை பாதுகாக்கிறது. அதுபோல இன்னும் ஒரு கருத்து இருக்கிறது, தியானம். எந்த ஒரு மங்களகரமான விடயங்களாக இருக்கலாம், மங்களகரமான சூக்ஷ்ம விடயங்களாக இருக்கலாம், மங்களகரமான பொருட்களாக இருக்கலாம், இவற்றை தியானிக்கும் பொழுது ஒரு மிக உயர்ந்த நிலையிலே நாங்கள் போகக்கூடிய நிலையிலே காணப்படுகிறோம். அதனாலேதான் இந்த யோகாவிலே இருக்கக்கூடிய மிக முக்கியமான ஒரு பெருமை என்னவென்றால், ஒரு சொல் எத்தனை அர்த்தங்களை கொடுக்கின்றது பார்த்தீர்களா? So you can see the one word of yoga, how much of meaning it is giving. Just like, as all of you know, as all of you would have studied the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the first sutra comes as Hatha Yoganusasanam. Just the one word of Hatha, what does it denote? All of you know, the word Hatha denotes Mangalam. The most holiest word is Mangalam. The question arises, how is that the word of Hatha is Mangalam? As all of you know, when Brahma, when he created the world, the first word which came from his mouth was Omkar, and the second word which came was Atha. Because of that, it is called as the most holiest, most auspicious word. Second meaning of that, a person who is going into the practice of Hatha Yoga or Yoga, most like as physical education students, when we are going into the practice of the Hatha Yoga, we need to take an affirmation here. It comes as a meaning of sankalpam. The teacher and the student both takes the affirmation to ensure to learn the process, to teach the process in a deeper manner. At the same time, it also gives you the concept of readiness. There is also another meaning which comes as what is called as the perseverance. Perseverance is at any point of time you don't give it up. You may have some challenges in life, you may have some hurdles in life, but whatever the hurdle comes, we both shall learn together. So you can see the one single word Atha has so much of meaning. So this is the basic ideology of the word of Atha, the basic principle meaning of yoga, which gives us a clarity of what Hatha Yoga is. How did the spiritual lineage start? I'll just touch base on some of the spiritual lineage. If you take, there are 3 incarnations or 3 important trinities in the concept of the Bharata tradition. One comes from the Vishnu Sampradayam. விஷ்ணுவை அடிப்படையாக கொண்ட ஒரு வைதீக முறையிலே, கிருஷ்ண பகவானை அடிப்படையாக கொண்ட வைதீக யோகத்திலே 3 விதமான யோகங்களை சொல்லப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. ஒன்று ஞான யோகம், இன்னொன்று பக்தி யோகம், மூன்றாவது கர்மயோகம். அதுபோல பிரம்மாவை தலைமைத்துவமாக கொண்ட அறிவு நிலையிலே இருக்கக்கூடியவற்றை அஷ்டாங்க யோகம், சமாதி யோகம், கிரியா யோகம் என்று சொல்லுவோம். இப்பொழுது உங்கள் எல்லோருக்கும் தெரியும், நாங்கள் பல்வேறு விதமான யோக நிலைகளை கற்றுக்கொண்டு வருகிறோம். We are in the process of learning various types of yoga. We say Kundalini yoga, Raja yoga, Bhakti yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Hatha yoga. Like that, you will see in our Tamil system, தமிழிலே 64 வகையான யோக கலைகள் காணப்படுவதாக சொல்லப்படுகிறது. There are 64 types of yoga, 32 inner type of yoga and 32 external type of yogas. But on what classification does it come? So from the Vishnu's tradition, we got the Jnana Yogam, Bhakti Yogam, Karma Yogam. From the Brahma, we got the Ashtanga Yogam and the Samadhi Yogam and the Kriya Yogam. And also you will see from the Shiva's tradition, Sivanai Adipadiyaaga konda markatthilirundu, we get the Hatha Yoga tradition. That is where you will see one of the tradition. In the Hatha Yoga tradition, it is a very detailed tradition. I'll just touch based on that because it may be useful to you all. Some of you all. Majority of you all are learned people. But as it is an international day of yoga, it is nice for us to remember the whole lineage of the Hatha Yoga tradition. So as all of you know, the third concept comes from the Adi Yogi, Shivan. He taught this knowledge to Nandidevar. Nandidevar taught to certain people like Sanakar, Sanadanar, Sanandanar, Sanat Kumarar, Sivayoga Mamuni, Patanjali, Vyakramar and Tirumular. Tirumular in the 67th verse and the 68th verse, he explains in an elaborated way. We, all 8 of us, learned it from Nandideva. From Nandideva, the division starts off. One comes as the Balavarkam, based on the Muruga's tradition. The other one comes from the Moolavarkam. Moolavarkam is, for example, from the tradition of the Tirumular. Then we have another tradition which comes from the Kailashavarkam, which comes from the Agastya. Then we have the other northern tradition which comes from the Natha Sampradayam. So if you take the Moolavarkam, Tirumular, Kalanginadar, Bohar, Pulipani, all comes under that spiritual lineage. So you will know that Bohanadar was very popular in Sri Lanka and in India also. Bohar, he created the yantra, and he did the Navabhashana Vigraham and established in Palani. Same way, he established a Shat Yandra and established it in Sri Lanka, in the south of Sri Lanka, called the Katarhamam, where still it is being worshipped and prayed. Same way in the Kailashavarkam, you will see Agasthyar, Boganadar, Babaji, Thiruvalluvar, Machamuni. Like that, there is a whole list of people which is coming up. And if you take in the Siddha tradition, you will find different type of Siddhas are there. For example, you will see Nada Siddha, Rasa Siddhas, Maheshwara Siddhargal, Sangada Siddhargal. Sangada Siddhargal is basically like the Siddhas who have come from the Buddhist background and Buddhist evolution. Then you have the Yoga Siddhargal, Rasa Siddhargal. Like that, you will see that this is how the whole lineage of the Hatha Yoga tradition comes into. When we are going into the study of the Hatha Yoga tradition, It is very important for us to have a basic understanding how the evolution came. Today, we are celebrating the International Day of Yoga because of the various efforts by which has been given by the great saints, sages, institutions, and individuals. When we know that, so that when we know that this is a rich heritage, we are doing the practice of yoga, which is not just an abundant knowledge, it is not a dead science. That is why you will see yoga is an experimentable science and experienceable science. Why is it experimentable? When it comes into Annamaya Kosha, when it comes into Manonmaya Kosha, it is highly experimentable. But when it comes into the other layers of Pranamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha, it is not experimentable, but it is experienceable. At the same time, so who are the greatest Hatha yogis? If you take in the 1st century, where and where yoga has been prescribed, where and where yoga has been there. In the 1st and the 5th century, in that, there is a very great book which is called the Charaka Samhita. In the Charaka Samhita, there is an embodiment which mentions about the 8-fold path of yoga. Same way, in the 3rd century, you have a great book which is called as the Shushruta Samhita. In the Shushruta Samhita is where the 2 important aspects of the Ashtanga Yoga is explained in the 29th verse. Then come the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, all of you know. And then in the 7th century, we have the Ashtanga Hridaya Samhita, where in the Ashtanga Yoga Samhita, where the pranayama techniques has been mentioned very clearly, which is in the 7th century. And you will see another important book which came is Dharma Putrika. Dharma Putrika is a combination of 8 books, which was originally taken from the Nepalese language, and which explains in detail about the respiratory techniques and the supernatural powers. Pranayamam மற்றும் சித்திகளின் வகைகளை பற்றி தெளிவாக 7வது நூற்றாண்டிலே குறிப்பிட்ட ஒரு நூலாக தர்மபுத்திரிகா நூல் காணப்படுகிறது. In the 11th century, you will find that there is another beautiful book which is called as the Kala Chakra Tantra and Vimala Prabha. This is one of the most important book. And at the same time, in the 11th century, you have a nice Hatha Yoga textbook which is called as the Amrita Siddhi. In the Amrita Siddhi book, that is where the Mahamudra, Mahabandha, and Mahaveda, the most important 3 pillars of the Hatha Yoga, has been explained in the 11th century in the book called Amrita Siddhi. Same way, you also have a nice book in the 12th century which is called as the Amara Guha, where it is a Shaiva work and where the Hatha Yoga and the Raja Yoga text has been explained in detail. In the 12th and the 13th century, you have a very detailed book which is called as the Vashishta Samhita, where that is the place where 18 vital marma points are explained. At the same time, உங்களுக்கு தெரியும் இந்த உடம்பை அளக்கிற பொழுது when you go to scan the body, generally in the olden days we scan through the san or san அளவு அல்லது அங்குல பிரமாணமாக அளப்போம். The process of the finger breaths, which is called as the angula, has been explained in detail in the Vashishta Samhita, just about in detailed explanation where and where what angulam is. Then in the 12th and 13th century, you have a beautiful book which is called as the Viveka Martanda. In the 13th and the 14th century, you have a book which is called as the Yoga Yaksha Valkya, where the prana, the body's different fire regiments, the Kundalini energies have been elaboratively explained in that book. In the 14th century, there is a book which is called the Yoga Bija. In the Yoga Bija only, you will see that how when a person does the asana practices, how you can incorporate the medicines, herbs, and how it can be fulfilled as a Kaya Kalpa is being explained in the book which is called as the Yoga Bija in the 14th century. In the 14th century, there is one of the book which is called as the Yoga Ratra Vali, which is only has 29 lines, but it speaks about mostly about the Kevala Kumbhaka. In the 14th century, one of the best Hatha Yoga traditional book is called the Gorakstakam, which speaks about the Kumbhaka and the Ujjayi technique. In the 14th century, there is a nice Hatha Yoga book which is called as the Kesari Vidya. It has 17 verses. In the chapter 14, it explains about the herbal preparation which should be done in accordance to attain certain siddhis and powers and miracles. It is a book which is a combination of a knowledge of the Ayurveda and yogic combination. In the 15th century, you will see the Hatha Pradipika book is there. That is where the Shat Karma concept has been explained. That is the 6 therapeutical aspects of cleansing book has been explained in that. In the mid 16th century, you have another book which is called as the Ayurveda Sutra, where there is about 1252 aphorisms which explains about the whole process. In the 17th century, you have the Yuktabadeva. In the 18th century, you have the Hatha Yoga book, which is called as the Yoga Pradipika. In the mid 18th century, you have the Hatha Sankita Tantrika. And also you have a nice book which is called as the Shat Karma Sangraha. And also you will see in the first aspect in 1896 in India, the Ayurvedic Institute, which was established by Vaidya Prabhoram Jivaram in 1877 and then followed by his son Vaidya Pofat Prabhuharan in 1896. They included the first Patanjali Yoga Sutra in their syllabus. That was in the 1896. And later in 1902, it was named as Prabhom Ayurvedic College. In 1905, you will see this is the institutional process, how the yoga became into the well-being of the people. So in 1905, Rajaratna Maniharan, Sri Jamunda Vyaya Mandir is one of the 2 biggest institutions where you will see the various Indian physical disciplines, including the martial arts, and the yoga asanas were included in the teaching for the well-being of the people. In 1907, All India Ayurvedic Congress was established. In 1915, Paramahamsa Madhavasji created, he's a Bengal yogi, provided the medical treatment with various yogic methods. So like that, so you will see the first initial recorded therapy is there. You have also in the beginning, but as per now, according to the recorded aspects, you have it in 1915, it was the first therapeutic aspect. In 1917-18, Sri Yogendra started a very big yoga center. He established a yoga center where in 1948, which was starting to give various health-related practices. Between 1920 to 1948, you will see Gandhiji started to promote the concept of basic breathing practices and also some practice. அதாவது அவர் சொல்லுவார்கள், நடுநிலை வாய்ந்த ஆசனங்களையும் மிக எளிமையான மூச்சு பயிற்சிகளையும் காந்தி அவர்கள் அறிமுகப்படுத்தினார் என்று. In 1922, there was a very famous yoga person who is called as the KV Iyer. And in the 1948, in the Chopra report, which all of you know, it is said that he had a 10-bed hospital and where various diseases like asthma, diabetes, gastrointestinal issues, joint affections was completely treated with the support of the yogic practices. In 1923, we know that Vishnu Charan Ghosh, who is the younger brother of the Paramahamsa Yogananda, he created the first Gosha College of Yoga and Physical Education. In 1924 comes the next important stage, Swami Kalyananda, who was initiated, who was mostly influenced by Lokmanya Tilak, Aurobindo, and the greatest physical culturist in India, Rajaratnam Manikaro. With his influence, it was Swami Kalyananda who established the research lab based in the system of there. So it is very important for us in this International Day of Yoga, we recollect the memories of all the great things which has been contributed by Mother India. In 1925, Sitaraman Sundaram, who also worked with KV Iyer, he established the Yogic School of Physical Culture in Bangalore, and he was also a great expert in English, Kannada, and also in Sanskrit. In 1933 to 1950, the yoga in the J. Mohan Palace, this is where the most of the present eminent personalities whom we all know has done a greatest tremendous teaching of the Hatha Yoga practices. Tirumalai Krishnamacharya, Indra Devi, B.K. Zayangar, K. Patabi Josh, and T.K.V. Desigacharya. All these people have been associated with the Jai Mohan Palace and contributing for the development. In 1933 and 63, it was Swami Shivananda who developed the Divine Life Society in the spiritual lineage of the Sannyasa tradition, and that is where you have various yoga ashrams are now all taking place. And in 1938, you have a various process which was done by the Pandit Malaviyas, Health Cure Center, which was established. In 1948, you have the Chopra Report. In the Chopra Report, you will see the efficiency of the yoga physical culture was emphasized very clearly. In 1950s, there was Grodda Shekhra College of Yoga and Cultural Synthesis. That is where the first 2-year diploma of yoga course was established in May 1953. In 1962, there has been great process which happened. In 1958, you know, the Yogendra Yoga Institute started its course. In 1962, the first SADT Gupta Yoga Hospital of Lonavala started, where the Hatha Yoga practices for the wellness and for the treatment was established. Same way in 1972, it was Dhirendra Brahmachari, who was the yoga guru of Indira Gandhi. He did a tremendous job in the process of the yoga development. In 1970, the Central Council for Research in Indian Medicine and Homeopathy included the yoga. And in 1970 was the first World Yoga Conference and on scientific yoga took place in New Delhi. In 1975, another important yoga wellness program took place that was called as the Science of Meditation Relaxation, which was took place in 1975, seminar on yoga sciences and man. It was conducted from 14th to 16th March in 1975. It was considered as the most of the important thing where the government of India got involved, and D.S. Kothari was the main person who brought the scientists and the yoga personalities coming together. Same way, one of the most important thing happened in 1978 in the development of the yoga is the Central Council of Research for Yoga and Naturopathy was created. And in that only all the hospitals and the healthcare centers where in India, yoga and nature cure became as a common aspect in major Indian cities. In 1980, Hansi Yogendra, she gave a series of lectures in the Doordarshan. Why? She is one of the most powerful yoga women lady who propagated the yoga among the common and among the womenhood, which has to be taught. Same thing, you will know, one of the most turning point in the Indian history of the Hatha yoga tradition, it was in 1981. All of you know the Ramalingam Swami report. In the Ramalingam Swami report, it was mentioned, yoga is the most important physical and mental health instrument. Whereas in the Dev Committee report, yoga was not mentioned. You will see in 1988, it was Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anushanandana, Bangalore University was established. In 1988, Geeta Iyengar had been speaking on yoga and Ayurveda. In 1991, National Yoga Syllabus for all the Indian schools was established. And in 1995, Department of Indian System of Medicine and Homeopathy, yoga became a most important aspect. In year 2000, in most of the bachelors in Ayurvedic medicine and surgeons, yoga became as a syllabus. And one of the most important thing the Indian government did was in 2001 was the Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, established as the collaboration between the Council of Scientific Industrial Research and Ayush to protect the traditional knowledge of India from exploitation through various unethical patterns. இந்தியாவில் இருக்கக்கூடிய பல்வேறு வகையான கல்வி நிலைகளுடைய ஒழுங்கமைப்பை மாற்றின ஒரு செயற்பாடு அந்த ஒரு செயற்பாடாக இருக்கும். And then you will see in the 2003, various eminent yoga gurus came into the Sri Ravi Shankar Ji was there, then Swami Ramdev was there. In 2003, you will see the Department of Indian Systems of Medicine and Homeopathy was renamed as Ayush. In 2014, Ayush took to the level of as an independent ministry, and in 2015, the first Indian International Day of Yoga was established. So you can see this is the chronological history of the Hatha Yoga, where from the ancient time till now, efforts by the great individual sages and saints and personalities makes us today to be proud of the greatest knowledge which has been given. And that is why Hatha Yoga practices is being considered as a well-being. It is not that it is just 5 years or 10 years this knowledge system is derived. This knowledge system has a long history. And in today's International Day of Yoga, I thought it is very important for us to go into these practices. When it comes into the Hatha Yoga practices, all of you know, as we have many yoga students here, when it comes into the Hatha Yoga, asanas, pranayama, bandhas, mudras all play an important role. When it comes into the asanas, you need to know on what basis the names of the asanas are derived. So you will see the most of the asanas are derived based on the superhuman beings, and then some of them comes under the, so if you divide the superhuman beings comes as the divine beings, semi-divine, and the other. So you will see the names of certain asanas comes under this category. Then you will see some of the asanas comes under the human anatomy part. For example, Pada Hastasana, Padam Hastam. So then either you will have the hands or the leg or the head or the twist or the various parts of the body comes as. Same way you have the names of the asanas of the personalities of the siddhas and yogis, like for example, Vashishthasana, Gorakshasana. This comes from the names of the siddhis. Why? Because of when they have done these practices, the level of siddhis which they have achieved. And then it comes, some of the asanas comes as the rishis and muni. You have a nice asana which is called as the Narada asana. This comes based on the personality. Then there are psychological based aspects of asanas, which is derived from the principle of psychological impact. Then you have the certain practices based on the yogic terminology. Then you have the subhuman, that is basically on animals, birds, insects. Based on this, you have certain names of the asanas. Then you have certain asanas based on the concept of the weapons. Some names are there based on the auspiciousness. For example, if you take an asana which is called as a Garuda asana, you need to know whether the Garuda asana, where when it is mentioned, whether it is meaning the Garuda, the bird, or the Vahana of the Garuda. Two things are there. Garuda also becomes a Vahana. So where are those? So the most important is, if we understand the history very well, we will be proud of the greatest intangible knowledge which has been gifted to us. And today, because of the effort of the India, it is the world, the whole world is now enjoying the fruits of this yoga culture. I take this a great opportunity in addressing in front of all the great eminent personalities of the university, the students, the lecturers, and all the great people. At this time, I once again thank respected Dr. Swaminathan sir, Mr. Gurumurthy ji, and also Mr. Dhanaraj, Saroja, Shekhar, and all of you, and also my good friend from there, Mr. Yogesh, assistant professor, and all the eminent personalities. Thank you very much for having a patient listening of the greatest Hatha Yoga practices for the well-being on the historical purpose today. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable, peaceful, and energetic talk about Hatha Yoga, tradition of Hatha Yoga, and well-being to the participants.
Sir, there is a question from a participant side. The question was asked by Wasim Dane from Jammu and Kashmir. He wants to brief about chakras.
Chakras.
He raised the question. Wasim from Jammu and Kashmir.
What is chakras?
About the chakras and their functions.
So the question is about chakras, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, what is a chakra means, like, we have a body, like the Sthula Sarira and the Sukshma Sarira. In the physical body, we have main energy supplying centers. We take food, we take rest, various ways we start supplying the energy. Same way, when it comes into the subtle body's energy supplying location is what is called as chakras. Why it is called as chakras? Because chakram means that which holds multiple types of bijas in the frozen state. So all of us have chakras. And what happens if you start activating chakratinuடைய இயல்பு, the nature of the chakra is when it rotates, it produces the energy. Here also, when we use the certain techniques, mainly when we use the mantram, when we use the pranan, When we use the mind, when these three things are connected with a specific mudra, in a specific body movement, which is called as the asana, we are able to activate the chakras. In chakras, within the body, there is 7. Above the body, there is 7. Below the feet, there is 7. And there are also minor chakras in the different parts of the body. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Then one more question from our Alagappa University College of Physical Education regular PhD scholar Anbunisha. He asked, can you suggest some asanas for thyroid problems?
Yeah, so basically you will see that when it comes into a thyroid issue, you need to know. The first is whether it's a hyper or a hyper is number one. அதாவது உங்களோட தைராய்டு வந்து அதிகமாக வேலை செய்கிறதா குறைவாக வேலை செய்கிறதா என்றது ஒன்று முதலாவது தெரிந்திருக்க வேண்டும். இரண்டாவதாக தெரிந்திருக்க வேண்டிய விடயம் என்னென்றால், if the thyroid has to function, thyroid சுரப்பி இயங்க வேண்டுமாக இருந்தால் pituitary gland இலிருந்து ஒரு சிக்னல் வழங்கப்பட வேண்டும். There is a signal which is produced, a chemical which is produced. That has to get activated. So sometimes what happens, if the pituitary does not give the signals properly on a regular basis, also the thyroid gets affected or thyroid functions becomes affected. The third aspect which we need to know is that there is something which is called as the circadian rhythm in the body. Whether the circadian rhythms are functioning perfectly. The circadian rhythm, the ultradian rhythm, like that you have the rhythms in the body. You just need to ensure whether the circadian rhythms are all functioning perfectly. Once these things are all happening perfectly, then what happens is then you go into activating. For example, I will tell you most simple practices for people who are thyroid. How do you know there is a thyroid fluctuation? If your moods gets fluctuated, if your body conditions get saturated, if you are getting tired, and first basic principle, lift yourself up, always embrace this. When you are doing this embracement, just take some gingerly oil or chandan. And both are fine. Just apply a little bit before breakfast, before lunch, before dinner. 3 times you apply it. After that, you just take a deep breath. Get your chin, hold it. Just be there. 3 rounds. Each round, 27 counts. Do this in the initial stages. Third technique, go into Brahmari. Brahmari, all of you know, is a breathing practice. All of you know, I'll just demonstrate. So this is the Brahmari technique. Here, what is important when we are working with the thyroid and the pituitary gland, you need to build up that breathing to 27 counts. Like how I did, like 1. So 9 will be the basic perfect position. From 9, move to 11, like that. Go on doing it. If you start with 9 counts of 9 rounds, then from there, increase it to 27. Do 27 of 9 rounds regularly. Just do it for half a mandala. After doing that only, you will go into the asanas, Matsyasana, Matsyendra Asana, Sarvangasana. These are the most, because there is a list of asanas, but the asanas are decided by the nature of the person. Because the thyroid can get affected due to various reasons. So I'm just giving you an outline. But the preparatory is very important if you want to go into this. Another one technique which you can do is, before you go to bed, in your feet, apply the gingerly oil well. Just do that for 27 days continuously, because thyroid also gets disturbed when there is an excess heat process. Why does the excess heat process? It is because of the internal fluctuation of the mind. As rightly Mr. Swaminathan ji said, if you are able to apply the principle of memory, the principle of mind management, like how he said, half of the thyroid problems you will be able to manage easily. Because people who are having the thyroid problem basically do not bring their aspects, do not bring their emotions out. They just keep within themselves, and a volcanic nature arises within themselves. Hope I have answered your question.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Audience, any clarification? So end of this program. May I invite Dr. S. Saraja, Associate Professor, Coordinator, Center for Yoga Education, to propose vote of thanks.
On behalf of ALAGAPPA University, I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks for those who have directly and indirectly contributed this international visual webinar on Hatha Yoga practices for well-being, organized by the Center for Yoga Education, ALAGAPPA University, Karaikudi. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere thanks to our respected BC officiating committee members, Dr. R. Swaminathan and Dr. T.R. Gurumurthy, for their valuable address and according permission to organize such a wonderful webinar in a grand manner. Thank you, sirs. I would like to thank our respected registrar, Dr. C. Shekhar, for his valuable guidance and heartfelt welcome address. I thank you, sir. I extend my sincere thanks to our guest speaker, Sri Vyasa Kalyana Sundaram, for his stimulating special address. I am very happy to state that the participants were really benefited because of his valuable address on this topic. He is a person blended with long experience in yoga. I take immense pleasure in thanking Dr. Sendil Rajan, Director, MAS, and his team members for the perfect technical support and guidance. And also, I wish to thank my colleague, Dr. S. Dhanraj, Assistant Professor from Center for Yoga Education, for his valuable support in the successful conduct of this virtual webinar. A special thanks to all the professors and participants for their enthusiastic support, coordination, and active participation. Once again, I thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll take your. Yes.
So we'll meet later.
Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you, Swaminathan, sir. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Vyasa.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sri Vyas Kalyan Sundaram. Thank you very much.
Shekhar ji, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
I will be in touch with you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vyas. It was one lecture. I did not. I listened to your lecture.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Your speech was very extraordinary. It was very informative, very illuminating. So, and the same is true with our eminent speakers. I mean, syndicate members, Swaminathan and Dr.